Hello, viewers. Welcome to Talks with My Father. My name is Courtney, and this is my father, Mark. We are the co-host of Talks with My Father. And this podcast is really just candid conversations between a father and his daughter. We'll talk about pretty much anything from advice to how to navigate life, our opinions on Black America, and how to find peace in a world that sometimes can be a toll on us. We hope that you find our conversations informative, comforting, and relatable. And we'll kind of go into, since this is our first episode, we'll kind of introduce ourselves because we want you to be able to relate to us and get to know us on a personal level so that when you're listening to our conversations, you kind of get a background of where we come from. So Dad, talk a little bit about yourself and let the viewers know who you are, what you would like to share with them.
Well, my name is Mark Henderson. I'm Courtney's dad, and I've been married almost 28 years. I'm from Pontiac, Michigan, and I moved down here to Columbus, Ohio after I got married in 1993. I hope the advice I give people, I always tell my kids, is to eat the meat and spit out the bone. And I hope that my life experience up to this point can give some people some advice, some experiences. I hope it helps people, and I hope they can use it down the line or forward. I'm very proud to be a Black father. We get so much of a bad reputation on television and things like that we're not good fathers. And I hope that this changes the narrative for somebody. I know that the media portrays us in a certain way, and I just hope that it changes the perception, the perceptions of what they think in the media, and also for ourselves.
Thank you. Well, like Dad said, he has 4 children. I'm the oldest of the 4, and I'm, according to my sister, I'm damn near 30. So, that's a little bit about me. I am a founder and CEO of a consulting firm, and I may be Dad's favorite child. We'll see. And then,
okay.
and I'm a certified daddy's girl. I love to read. I love to do community organizing and hiking. So that's just a little bit about us. And like I said, as you listen more to our podcast, you get to know a little bit more about us as we get further. So without further ado, I'm going to start asking Dad a few questions to start off our candid conversations, and it can go anywhere. So bear with us. So Dad, I've always wanted to ask you this question. What was your dream job growing up and why?
Well, I had 2. I think one was to be a sportscaster, because being from Michigan, Detroit area, the Lions, the Pistons, and 2 major universities, Michigan, Michigan State. Also a teacher, because I enjoyed history. You always said I can always come up with history things for you. Probably a sportscaster because first be history. In history, it really was probably history because growing up in Pontiac, Michigan, it's a predominantly Black city during World War IV and Chrysler. I had Black male teachers, Mr. Diggs, Mr. Ewing, and also one of the teachers came to my wedding, Mr. Ewing, and he came to our wedding, and then he went to Tuskegee, so he went to a Black university. So I was very influenced by having Black male teachers. And what I want to do with sportscasting is try to show the history of what Blacks have done in sports. We know about Jesse Owens and Jackie Robinson, Breaking the Color Bear, but I have a few names here I can list of what I want to share with my students if I was a teacher of history. Coach Robinson at Grambling, he's one of the winningest coach in college football, in college football. Also, Jackson State University has a lot of great Black alumni. It has Walter Payton. Also, Grambling has Doug Williams, who won the Super Bowl in the 1980s. Everson Walls, defensive back, went to Grambling. Texas Southern had Michael Strahan, you probably see him in Good Morning America and things like that, and also Fox Sports. He was a Black Alumni Association person. Tennessee State had Ed Tuttle Jones and Joe Gilliam, and also Black quarterbacks like J.C. Watts went to Oklahoma. And also a lot of Black coaches have did things like the spread offense and things like that use in the NFL today. So I wanted to combine history and sports with my students to know that, we can be coaches, assistant coaches, and things like that. So that's why I really wanted to go into history, and also history of sports, and also the history that they don't tell us about. People are just now finding about the Black Wall Street because it was in a TV series on HBO. There are so many people don't know that in Maryland, There's Prince George County. It's one of the richest Black counties, a lot of rich Black counties in Texas. You went to Martha's Vineyard last week with your grandmother and your cousin, and there are Black people, successful Black people that are on Martha's Vineyard, but the only thing they show us on television is us being downtrodden. So what I really wanted to do was to show that. And also my city of Pontiac had a Black mayor, Black police chief, and so where your brother's working at right now. So I wanted to show that history of through sports and also history. That was one of my dream jobs.
Yeah.
Right now, my dream right now is being a dad. So.
I have always thought you've been really great at history. And that's funny that you said that, because I always thought you would be a great history teacher in a sports history specifically. Yeah. And I know you've helped me tremendously as a child doing my history assignments. I know mom always had, English and math, but when it came to history, you were always the person I went to. And I think you even helped me write a paper in like world history in college. I think I had called you because I couldn't remember dates. I could never remember dates of wars and things like that. So I remember like having to call you because I didn't want to look it up and read it. But I like that. And you brought up a topic that I'm really focused on and I really enjoy, is the Black history that a lot of people don't teach us. And I know that as African Americans, we can't rely on the school system to teach us about our history. And one thing that I've learned after I went to Martha's Vineyard last weekend, I really enjoyed it. And I even looked it up. So I looked up Martha's Vineyard in Oaks Bluff, to be more specific, that area where we were. And it was actually like a neighborhood where a lot of affluent Black people like grew up and lived. And a lot, it was like the upper echelons of the Black people. And that was what motivated me to do better in my work and to work hard so that one day I could live out there, because it was so nice. And I was even looking at Prince George's County in Maryland, because I'm thinking about moving soon. Right. And when I was looking at that, I wanted to make sure that I put myself in a place where I feel acknowledged, welcomed, and I feel like a part of my community. So that's a good topic. I would love to talk more about that in like a future podcast. But yeah, like I said, I've always thought you've been a great historian, and I would say that you're a self-proclaimed historian. And I hope that one day you can maybe combine the two loves that you have and do something with it now that you're almost an empty nester.
Well, there's one more thing. I remember there's a picture with me, you, and Nate Newton. All your younger viewers might know that. It was at me, you, and Nate Newton was offensive lineman for Dallas Cowboys. It was at a charity basketball event, and that I was that's one of the proudest moments I had, that that your mother had sports in our lives, and she. So I was very thankful that she was accepting of me liking sports. And I think none of my kids really like it as much as I do, but that was one of the proud moments that
I'd say Victoria is the closest to liking it as much as you.
But it's okay. You guys are doing well in school, and that's more important than. Yeah. Let me get some in perspective. It is. So.
Yeah, right. So you did mention something about that being one of your proudest moments. Is that one of your proudest moments? I know when I was writing this question and I was thinking about the questions I wanted to ask you, I know that as you get older and as you get, more experience, sometimes your proudest moments always change. It's not to say that these moments are not still proud moments, but your proudest moment should always be something new because you're always evolving. So would you say that's still your proudest moment, or do you have another proudest moment in your life?
Oh, like you said, they're changing because I'm getting older. The proudest moment is that seeing you guys be successful as people. I still know you have more growing to do and living to do, but your testimony, things that you've been through, what people threw at you and your brother and everything else, those are things that I'm proud. I'm proud of the people that you're becoming and growing. Your mother had this letter, what would we say to our future selves? I want people to understand that the hard part is not forgiving people. The hard part is learning to forgive yourself for some of the choices and mistakes you made. So I'm just proud that you guys are just growing. I'm loving the process of seeing you, because none of us is a finished process. And I just want you guys to keep on growing and be happy with yourselves and choices that you make. I hope that we guided you. I know there's so many people on these podcasts infighting, whether it's Dr. Umar Johnson, High Value Man, and all this other stuff, and Umar Johnson and all those people. But you have to work together with your spouse. And the product to have. We can't have Black wealth without having strong Black families. That's another thing to have. So I'll tell people, I hope people get from this is to eat the meat, spell the bone. I'm not going to say everything you like, and that's fine. But what works what works in the Henderson house may not work in yours, and I hope that people can find their way. I hope that answers your question a little bit.
Yeah, no, it did. And I want to say, because sometimes I think we don't say it enough to you. I want you to know that I do think you did a really great job with us.
I
You know,
appreciate it.
we're not, none of us are in prison, never been to prison. You know, and not to say that people can't make mistakes. And, you know, I hope that everyone, you know, everyone deserves a second chance. And,
Yes, you
but, you
do.
know, I think we all hold college degrees. We're all doing well in our areas. So without the structure that we've had growing up, we wouldn't be where we were today. So I think that is a proud moment because not everybody can say that about their kids. And
Another problem that I had is when you were out there that you wanted to promote sweet girls. You wanted the girls from inner city to have sweet 16s, and the fact that you thought about others. I know Christopher is thinking about others too, trying to stop gentrification in Pontiac and things like that. So I'm very proud of that. You guys have, you know, that in your heart. And I know you guys didn't like to volunteer at the hospital, but we tried. You know, we also, you know, we walk for the March of Dimes, and we work with MS Society, and we're giving people, you know, not perfect, but giving people. And I'm glad that I bestowed that upon you guys. And so I'm still enjoying the people that you're becoming. So.
yeah. Yeah, I'm still working on that nonprofit. Once I get my business up and really moving the way I want, I definitely want to revisit that. And I can see that we are giving people. I think a lot of us sit on multiple boards on nonprofits, and you know, we devote our extra time to people. Like you always taught us, you know, God blesses us so that we can bless others, and you got to reach back. And I think that really stayed with us in our adulthood or early adulthood to reach back. Because I also know of the advantages and the things that I have, you know, like I know that I have certain privileges that other, you know, Black people may not have. And I am acknowledging that by, you know, reaching back and teaching people what I learned. I know when I went to Fisk, before I went to Fisk, I used to think like I don't want to go. I did all this hard work in school. I got myself through, you know, and got my degrees. I've studied. Nobody was there, and now you want me to come back and help people and, you know, and give them what I had to work hard for. But it wasn't until I got to Fisk and learned about the talented 10th, about, you know, the W.E.B. Du Bois's philosophy that the 10% is supposed to come back and pull up the rest of the 90%. And I think that really changed my perspective after I went to an HBCU, is that we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to our community to go back and help because of the privileges that we got to go to school. Because there are people that probably wanted to go to Fisk or go to any other school and they weren't able to. So it's our job to go back and help them, because we can't depend on this country to help our people, because we have seen institutional racism and institutionalized racism where they can't somehow break these barriers when they're trying to break these generational curses, you know, that are embedded into policy and things like that. So that's a good point. And I think that's why, for me, I can't speak for my other siblings, but I know for me, that's what made me want to do community service. And all my friends like, oh, why do you always do that? Like, you waste your weekends, you know, going to Brockton, and you go to all these meetings, you're not tired. And I said, I cannot be tired, because I will continue to work and help my people until every single Black person is where I think that they should be. So yeah, I am tired, but I'm not that tired to quit. So I think that, and I think a part of the raising that you and Mom, you know, gave us, I think that also played a part into like the community service. So I would say for me, that's one of my proudest moments, is to be able to help people and to start this business. Like, I know it doesn't exclusively say it on my website, but I started this firm to really help mobilize Black votes and to get more Black people to participate at a higher level of, you know, of voter education, things like that. So it's one thing to vote, but it's another thing to run for elected office and make the changes that you want to see. So that's why I started the firm. And I think that a little bit of that, of how you guys raised me, kind of is seen in how I run my business. So so you've kind of talked about all the things that you've done, you know, in your past and what you have kind of done to raise us. What do you look forward to in life right now? What is something that you're looking forward to?
This as far as myself or our country. What is it?
Oh, for yourself.
Oh, for myself. I mean, I think right now with our society, having peace of mind, I think I look forward to that. I know a lot of people, I know a lot of in the Black community, we don't like to go to a psychiatrist, or we think that the only way that we can get peace is through the church, which is fine. I have nothing against the church. I have none of that. But I think look forward to having a peace of mind. I look forward to that. And I hope this country also finds that, because we're all pinned up with not wearing masks and things like that. I just look forward to, I always tell people the more gray I get, the more grace I get. And I'm looking really forward to having grace and passing it on to other people. I'm looking forward to I love life because the experiences give me, and I look forward to the more experiences I have. And I hope that the experiences I have can help other people. Even at my job, when people are going through certain things, they come to me, and I'm very thankful. I'm glad they see the God in me, the grace in me. Because I do have, a little life experiences. So I hope that in life, people come to me and ask for advice. I'm not judgmental. You guys know that. And I look forward to life. I look forward to life's journey. It's not over yet. I really look forward to things in life, the experience I'm going to have when I retire one day. And when, me and your mother sacrificed so much for children. I look forward to going on another cruise with my wife. And so things like that. So I look forward to that. I look forward to how you guys are going to turn out and the journeys that you have. So I'm looking forward to that. I always hope the Dallas Cowboys just win the Super Bowl.
I think we all wish that. I don't want to say it's embarrassing being a fan, but sometimes it can be.
Oh yeah, well, I'm a Lions fan. That's an
No, that's good. I think parents sometimes, forget to take care of themselves. And I think they're so wrapped up in making sure that their kids are okay. And you have to remember that at one point, our parents had dreams, they had goals and aspirations, and they had to put that on hold to raise, their children and to make sure that they're okay and to kind of nurture and grow their children's dreams. But then they kind of forget that they had dreams at one point. Is there like a dream that you want to accomplish now that, we're all pretty much out the house for the most part?
A dream. Well, Courtney, that's still ongoing. I can't really. There's so many thought processes ongoing. I guess dream of health and just being there for your mom. So that's really. I can't really think about it, but I'm at peace right now. So that's a very wonderful thing.
Yeah. And that's sometimes hard to find in this world, is to find peace. There's so many things that you used to say when I was younger, and I never understood it until I was living on my own. Like how I would say, oh, that's not fair. And you would always respond with, life's not fair. And now being on my own and living alone and trying to navigate, the big world, because Boston is a big city. So trying to navigate through that, I'm just like, yeah, life is not fair. And the little things that I was complaining about, like not getting, the bigger piece of candy, and you tell me life's not fair. I wish I had that problem still. Like, Taylor gets the bigger piece of candy instead of me, then getting passed up on a promotion when I, worked, 5 years in the company, and it goes to someone else who's like, not as experienced as I am. So I think not getting the bigger piece of candy is a lot better than like getting constantly passed up, because life is not fair. And I know that that's hard. And you mentioned mental health, and I know a lot of people in the Black and Brown community, they don't want to talk about that, but that is a serious topic to talk
really
about.
Is. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's another episode in itself. But I know I'm still trying to get it launched off. But when I was working a few years ago with the NAACP, I really wanted to push this mental health initiative and to kind of bring up this conversation in the Black community. And I think it was called like Fighting the Stigma or something like that, where, you have to address that, because so many kids, go through life, or in people, not just kids, but people go through life not expressing their feelings because they're afraid of being judged, and they're afraid. Right. A lot of people in the Black community say, oh, go to church, pray about it. Or, like, oh, you're just upset right now. Like, just, it'll be fine. Like, why are you worried about it? But that sometimes is so deeply rooted in you that you can't just pray about it. You actually need that help. And I think that, like you said, peace is something that is very valuable. I always tell people, if it costs me my peace, I can't afford it. And I really do mean that. If it costs me my peace, I can't afford it. I've removed myself from so many circles and so many friends and colleagues because they cost me my peace. And it's not to say that they're bad people, but you have to take care of yourself first in this world. Yeah, and I don't know who came up with the quote, but if you're no good to others if you're not good to yourself. So I really do believe that. So you kind of had
one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mhm. One more thing as men in general, that's not black men, but so many times, men don't cry, men supposed to cry in the dark, and all that gets built up and it just comes out. So to the men out there, whether it's church or talking to, because even I had, when your mother was first diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, I really enjoyed going to the MS Society of Grove City to talk to other couples that were dealing with the same thing. It kind of helped me to get through it. And when your mother had that hysterectomy, we had the Da Vinci procedure, and we all sat down as a family, watched on the CD-ROM. And so you need help of family and friends and church. I know so many people you just can't pray about it and fast about it. You got to get, God put those professions out there for us. And we got to get past that stigmatism. So
absolutely. And that was one of the things that I really pushed. Like when I was sitting down with other community leaders trying to plan out this event, I was trying to get funding for it. And because I think that this is necessary. I remember specifically sitting at this long table talking with other people that wanted to do this with me, and they kept saying, oh, postpartum depression, so we need to incorporate the pregnant women or the new mothers, and they're like, oh, and then we need to talk about the kids, because at the time, like, college suicide rates were high. There was like a lot of people, and I even remember at Harvard when I was a student there, someone committed suicide during finals. And I guess that pressure of trying to be perfect, kind of fell on the students. And I was all for that. I said, absolutely. I know the stress of being a student. I've been a student before. Yes. But I remember sitting there and I was like, okay, make sure we talk about people with disabilities, because we don't talk about, the things that they're going through, and they can be suffering from depression or suffering from something because of the change in their lifestyle. You have to remember, like, if someone just became disabled, that huge transition from being able to be independent to now kind of being a little bit dependent can put a toll on your mind. So I remember like really pushing for people with disabilities and their mental health, and I was really, really pushing men and their mental health, because we do have this idea that men are supposed to always be strong and that they're not supposed to cry. And a lot of the times the burden of maintaining the home financially falls on the man, and then being there for their spouse and being there for the kids, but then there's never any time for the father to express their feelings. And especially like you dealing with a spouse that has a neurological disease and things like that, it's very hard to go through that. And then dealing with my sibling and things like that. So I think it's very important, and I think that it's very helpful to have these healthy dialogues about health, mental health, because it's not anything to be embarrassed about. I mean, I at one point went to therapy, and that was because I needed to focus on how to compartmentalize my emotions and deal with things that were out of my control. And that's the problem that I still kind of face, is learning how to let go of things I have no control over. And I'm so used to, and I think it's the Virgo in me, that I'm so used to wanting to control every aspect of my life. And then some parts of my life are just not controllable. I have to just let go and let God, but I struggle with that. So I think that's something that needs to really be done. And when I have the time, I definitely want to revisit doing that community service project. A lot of people keep asking me about it, and I'm like, I just don't have the time. But that is something that I would love to get back into. So as we kind of get closer to, the end of this episode, and I know it's kind of candid and it kind of flows, in a conversation. We're kind of bouncing all over the place, but I want people to kind of understand that this is a candid conversation. But what advice, I'll give you two questions so that we can kind of like, expand on this a little bit more. What advice would you give Black men? And then I'll give you the next question so that you can think on it. What advice would you leave me with at the end of this podcast? So we'll leave me for the end. And then, but what advice would you give Black men right now?
Stop the infighting. We're all in this together, supposedly. You have so many. One of the things that disappoint me sometimes is they the media always pits us against each other, whether it's Kwame Brown or the gentleman from ESPN, whatever his name is, forgot his name, Stephen A. Smith. I don't like that infighting that we have with each other, or you're lame, or alpha, beta, male, all this other stuff. I wish we would come together. And, I always say this, we don't have to always agree, but we need to agree on what's important, come together for what's is important. And that's building our communities, and that's the advice I would give them, and try to be the best person you can be. And also teach your sons about economics and passing wealth to the next generation. Even if you just save $1,000 a month, for the education or whatever, that's one of the big advice I would be. I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to judge us like that. We're all brothers, whether you got swag or you don't have it, or whether I just think we should come together when it matters. We can disagree on a lot of different things, but come together when it matters. I think right now there's an infrastructural deal that was passed, and a lot of minority companies and contracts can get that to build infrastructure in this country. Let's not worry about what little Nas X is doing or what LeBron James is doing. As Uncle Scott would say, let's get this paper and we can build our communities so we don't have to depend. I told one of my coworkers, I'm also part of the problem also, because I work for L Brands. So my check gets deposited into JP Morgan Chase, which a company that, we're doing slavery, insure slave ships. Mm-hmm. Also, because like most Americans, I go to Walmart, I go to Amazon. My money does not bounce into my community unless when I had hair, went to the barbershop, mm-hmm. or went to a beauty salon. So let's make sure that we keep the money in our communities, and let's teach everyone can't be LeBron, everybody can't make the NFL, mm-hmm. but we can make ourselves entrepreneurs, mm-hmm. and the things that to do it. So I don't like the infighting. Don't put down, just because my path is different from yours doesn't make me lame or doesn't make me anything like that. Let's work together towards that. Be my, and let's, we got to stop blaming other people for our choices. I know there are a lot of things I can blame on systemic racism, mm-hmm. and things like that, but we have to first fix ourselves first. Like I said before, we got to forgive ourselves before we forgive people. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of the things I would give Black men, and teach your kids about economics. And even though you may not get along with the mother of your child, y'all got to come together to get that child to be a better man to his kids in his community. And also, I'm happy about right now was a lot of, look at sports. I see Deion Sanders is coaching Jackson State, Eddie George is coaching Tennessee State, and a lot of these young Black athletes are going to start Black colleges. So mm-hmm. I'm very happy to see that. But that would be my advice to Black men. We got to learn, and we can't kill each other. I mean, I know I know white people kill white people. You always kill who you're around. Mm-hmm. We're brothers, and we got to work better towards that. I'll get more into that in the next podcast.
Yeah. No, that's definitely something I would love to talk about in our next one. And you touched on a couple of things that I think were very important. I know I did an interview a few years ago with a good friend of mine, Tony Branch, a part of the NAACP. And during my interview, he was asking me about people that I consider mentors, or people that I consider to be my idols. I don't really necessarily have idols because I don't put too much expectations on people, because we're humans and we all make mistakes. But I remember listing a few Black politicians like Shirley Chisholm and, Barbara Jordan and things like that. And he said, wow, not LeBron and I love LeBron. As an Ohioan myself, he put Ohio on the map. Yeah. But I think that we put too much pressure on Black men to be, rappers or athletes, and that's all great. But when you break down the percentage of how many people actually make it to the NFL and the NBA, the numbers are very, very low. And I think that, your youth is not always on your side. Sometimes you lose your youth and you get older, but you never, if you're lucky and you're blessed, you don't lose your mind. What you've learned, you never lose that. So I always tell people that, stop telling your kids that, like, oh, if you do really well in sports, you're going to be, an athlete, a professional athlete. Maybe give them another skill, like, and like you said, economics. Like looking back, I wish I've taken a little bit more economics classes in college and things like that to learn how to, set up and be successful and create this generational wealth. Because like you said, put money into your accounts for your kids. I want to leave this world leaving someone with more than just purses and shoes. I want to leave, if I have kids, I want to leave my kids with a business, investments, property, things like that, so that they can make a living for themselves. And because what can you do with shoes and purses? Nothing really. I mean, you can sell them, but that money goes fast. So I think that's very, very important. And I also know that you mentioned HBCUs. I'm so glad that people are finally seeing the importance of HBCUs. And it's not even new. It's not a new concept. I mean, when you look at shows like Living Single and Martin, and in the Bill Cosby show, they all, represented HBCUs. They always wore like shirts of HBCUs. And unfortunately, it took Beyonce to do Coachella and do her whole, and I love the performance. I think she did a really great job. But I mean, it took her to, bring awareness to HBCUs and Black, Greek lettered organizations, two of which I'm a part of. I'm HBCU alumna and a part of a Black sorority. But now people are jumping on, and I'm happy. I mean, it's better late than never, but I'm so happy that people are starting to send their kids to HBCUs, and I think that they're in the works of doing like I don't know what they're called, like tournaments for HBCUs. I just wish that Fisk had enough people to have a football team. We used to have a football team long time ago, but now we just got that backfield with nothing back there.
Well, it was more than Beyonce. For people to know, like your mother went to Spelman, so there are a lot of famous alumni. I know that's why it's important about having. That's why we got this platform, podcast, and things like that. But even when I was growing up, I told you about our football players I knew about, and John Lewis went to your university down there in Tennessee. There are a lot of things I knew. When you went to Fisk, I found out about the Jubilee Singer. So there are some things that I'm learning too. That's like I said, having children. You guys also, when y'all went to college, I went to college with you too. I enjoyed the step shows and the battle of the bands between Central State and Kentucky State. Like I said, your mother went to Blackwood too. She went to Howard and Spelman, and I'm learning through you guys, and that's one of the things that I enjoyed. So don't let television. We knew about it. We knew about them. So don't think that it was just Beyonce or Dr. Cosby and Camille's wife. One thing I'll tell your mother about why I know it was controversial about Mr. Cosby, but your mother went to school with I think Enos went to, and I think her name, what was her name? Aaron Cosby. And he had enough faith. He could have sent his kids anywhere, temple where he went to or whatever, but he had enough faith to send his kids to a historic Black college. If him and Camille have enough faith in that structure, it's good enough for my children. So he put his money where his mouth is and his kids. So I know people may not like him. I don't agree with what he supposedly did, but that showed a great example. Don't think
there's a lot of greats. There's a lot of greats that went to HBCU. I did a Black History Month event at a high school back in February. And, people always say, oh, well, HBCUs are not real schools. And, they're not going to teach me what I really need to teach. And they do prepare you for the real world, because I think my professors, they didn't look at you as a student or a paycheck. Like, if you didn't show up to class 2 days in a row, they're calling you, hey, why aren't you in class? Or they're talking to somebody in the classroom saying, hey, where's so-and-so, and why is he not in class? I remember I had a friend and he stopped going to class, and the professor pulled me aside and said, you know what, you need to talk to your friend, and because I get paid regardless if he shows up or not, but this is his future, this is his money. And not that many Black men graduate from college because like they had that prison, the pipeline to prison, and like they held us accountable. So I remember seeing him on the yard. I'm like, look, Dr. Adabanjo asked me where you were, and you need to be in class next week when, like she said, and make sure that paper's done when you get back. So it's also keeping people accountable at a HBCU, and going to an HBCU and then going to like one of the most prestigious schools in the world, Harvard. I see the differences, because my Harvard professors didn't care if we showed up or not.
Right.
You know, like they looked at us as a paycheck, and they looked at us as a student ID number. But at Fisk, it was a lot different. But like I was saying, when I did the HBCU event at the high school, I was telling them the difference in like how it feels to go to a HBCU. Mm-hmm. And I was saying, if you still don't want to take my word for it, that's okay. I said, because you don't know me, I don't know you either. I'll list out some people that, you know, went to HBCUs. And I mean, for crying out loud, Kamala Harris, who has one of the second highest office in the land, graduated from Howard. And then we have Stacey Abrams, who literally mobilized all the votes in Georgia, went to Spelman. And then, you know, we have Raphael Warnock, who I believe went to Morehouse. And, you know, now he's a senator of Georgia. And then we have Mayor Bottoms, Keisha Bottoms, who is also a Delta, and, you know, went to an HBCU. So, you know, we have all these people. And then Bayard Rustin. I just learned that he went to your favorite school, Wilberforce. So, and he was a civil rights leader and activist. So I was just like giving them examples of people that, you know, went to HBCU. And there's plenty more. We have Felicia Rashad, you know, went to Howard. And, you know, and I tried to focus on Fisk because, you know, a lot of people know about Howard, Hampton, you know, Grambling, you know, like they don't know about the other schools. Like Diane Nash graduated from Fisk, who was also a key leader in the civil rights movement in Nashville. And then we have Nikki Giovanni, who is one of my favorite poets, graduated from Fisk. And then W.E.B. Du Bois, the great, you know, talented 10th, you know, graduated from Fisk, and he was the first African-American to get a PhD at Harvard. And one of my favorite quotes at the end of his speech was saying that I assure you that the pleasure was all yours to have him there. So I was like, that is just a beast. That is so savage to say that the pleasure was not his, but the pleasure was all theirs to have him there. So yeah.
I know she passed away, but one of the people that really had me get in school was Miss Washington at Fisk. And I really appreciate, you know, she gave me her testimony. She says, you know, I'm a cancer survivor. And she says, I made a promise to the God that I can help someone get into school, I will. And that left such an impression on me that if her family's listening, you know, the sacrifice she made, there are many people like Courtney. And I appreciate that act of kindness. And believe me, that really solidified my faith in humanity. You know, that you can bless someone that ain't you. And so I want to, if her family's listening, I appreciate what she did, and got choked up. But
she was a sweet lady. Everyone loved her. Everyone loved her. I remember for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we did a huge demonstration for, I think, all the men, saying "Isn't She Lovely" by Stevie Wonder, and they all walked in and gave her flowers. Each one had one single flower, and they gave it to her. She was very sweet. Yeah. But yeah, you can't get that anywhere you got to go to a HBCU to get that, because they really do. They know you by name. Some of them know your parents. I know I had a couple of professors that knew some of the students' parents, and when they was acting up, they would threaten to call your parents and tell you about them. So you know that, and I think those are all great things for Black men to hear. And I hope that whoever's listening takes that information and do something with that. So for the last question, advice that you would leave me.
Just keep on growing. As your mother always said, make yourself proud. And mother always says, I love you. Just be open to change and be the kind of person that you want to be. And when you look at people, look at them through the eyes of how God sees them. And that also through our own prejudice. I just want you to be happy within yourself. I want you to have peace within yourself. And that's what I really want you guys. And that's the one thing, right? It changes from day to day, because me and mother, right now, our goal is right now for you to be safe in the middle of a hurricane. So that's my first goal for you, is to be safe. And lay me on my thoughts and prayers. And You know, I might be at the casino, you still got me on my mind. So just be safe and just let us know that you're safe and give your mother nice comfort. But I just want you to keep on growing. And I'm, you know, like I said, you're sweet 16. I love you and I like you. And I learned from, you know, my favorite scripture from the Bible is when I was a child, when I became a man, I put away childish things. And when you were born, September 19th, 1994, I truly put away childish things. I just want all y'all to be happy and keep going. I may not always agree with the choices you make and the things you do, but I'm proud of the people that you're becoming. And just keep on growing. And two things, you know, I'm still gonna be, it might be too deep for a Saturday, but liberate yourself from sin and liberate yourself from other people's opinion, because their opinion does not define you. And I hope that I'm new at this, so I really hope that advice helps yourself and other people.
Well, if you guys see me floating on a mattress on the news,
okay.
just send help.
Yeah. And like I said, other people, I hope if I offended people, I'm sorry, but I just hope that you eat, you know, you eat the meat and spare the bone, put hot sauce on it. I don't care. You do. So I hope that the experience that we had in the Henderson family, I just really hope that it helps. Actually, you're a perfect person. You went to a historic Black college at this, and also you went to Ivy League school, so you can give people a perspective on both sides.
Absolutely.
I hope they get to listen to your advice.
Thank you, Dad. Well, this was fun. I really enjoyed this more than I thought I would.
Okay.
And well, I was already excited about it, and I was working a lot on this last night again to rework the questions and kind of see how this would flow. So I'll go ahead and close us out. I hope, like my dad said, I hope that we did not offend you. That is never our intentions. We always come from a place of love and respect. We respect the individual. We hope that, you know, you ask questions too. We would love to hear from you all and leave comments and questions. We'll definitely read them, and we'll try to incorporate those questions into the next episode. And I leave you with peace, love, and light. That's what I always, in my emails in all my interactions with people, with peace, love, and light. That's what I want to send you. We'll catch us every month on, let's say the 22nd of, no, not the 22nd. Well, we'll see, but catch us monthly. You can find us on YouTube, and then Apple Podcast and Spotify. We'll upload all of this up there for your listening pleasure, and we will catch you all next time. Be blessed.
And